Recently, more than 30 of your countrymen set themselves on fire to protest Chinese rule. What can you tell us to help us understand why they committed these acts of violence?
Indeed, very, very sad sort of event. But then we must look the causes and conditions such sort of a sad event. Then it related with, I think, firstly, last 50, 60 years, uh, difficult experience. As the late Panchen Lama, just before his death, I think a few days before his certain death, he publicly expressed, since Chinese communists came to Tibet, there are some positive development. However, the amount of destruction, suffering, these positive development cannot match, he mentioned. So that was 89. Uh, uh, then things become worse and worse and worse. The more sort of expression of Tibetan resentment, more suppression. Uh, then in 90s, one party secretary, he actually, you see, decide, for example, the Lhasa Tibetan University, all classical text which uh, they usually carry for teaching, that he banned. Only textbook which translated from Chinese textbook. So at that time, some Tibetan, you see, expressing, now in Tibet, autonomous region of Tibet, the semi-cultural revolution is returning. So that was the causes of 2008 crisis. During these crises, several hundred people killed, disappeared. So that's the continuation of that kind of, sort of suppression. And then also around that period, they start political education in monasteries or nunnery. So many monks, nuns arrested and expelled. Some disappear. So then the Tibetan, basically believer of non-violence. So they never sort of dare kill other, but simply they express through that kind of sort of, what's the action. So it is very, very sad. After that event, a few occasions I expressed, now time come. The Chinese authority must investigate what's the real causes. But then the local authority, I think since they are worshipper of gun, as Chairman Mao Zedong one time expressed, power come from barrel of gun. So unfortunately, some hardliners still believe that. So it is totally outdated. Maybe during Civil War or so Sino-Japanese War, maybe some logical reasons about that. But then, last 60 years, that kind of sort of thinking is unrealistic. So Chinese people, they are themselves a lot of sort of problems, a lot of strikes in mainland China itself. But however, when you see there are some demonstrations carried by Chinese, response more lenient, whereas in Tibetan area as well as in Xinjiang and Uyghur area, much more sort of tougher like that. So, but now hopeful sign is the present Chinese Prime Minister, Wen Jiabao, last, I think, 2 years, many occasions he expressed China need political reform. And also, some cases he even mentioned China need Western style of democracy. Usually, communist authorities usually say Western style of democracy is not fit in Asia. It is a lie. India, most populated democratic country, Western style of democracy, and then Japan, and I say South Korea also like that. Originally a little bit different, but later, and Taiwan also. Originally a little bit different, but later now they fully implement democracy very successfully. But Prime Minister Zhong quite unusual, you see, speak that way. Then one very significant thing is Wen Jiabao, or Prime Minister Wen Jiabao, after the annual Congress, or the People's Congress meeting at press conference, that something like officials or press meeting, there he again once more repeated China need political reform. And then he gave warning, unless you take some political reform, there is a danger cultural revolution may repeat. And soon after that, I think next day, almost next day, Po Xilai, the mayor of Chongqing, hardliner, dismissed. So these, you see, event seems the Chinese leadership, I think majority of the leadership really thinking seriously about some change. So it is a hopeful sign. So many resentment from Tibetan people, not only autonomous region of Tibet, but say the other 4 Chinese provinces. About 4 million Tibetans in other Chinese provinces. Only 2 million in autonomous region of Tibet. So, you see, these resentment, come related with 1,000-year-old history. We have our own language. Here, Hawaii people, the native people, they have their own sort of language. We, not only that, but we have our own script, more than 1,000 years old. So, in language, so script completely separate from Chinese and also from Indian, like that. So then that language, I think today, many Buddhist scholars knows Tibetan language is the nowadays best language to explain about Buddhist philosophy. So Tibetan feel proud that. So some threat systematically reducing Tibetan culture, Tibetan language, very much hurt their mind. So this is long sort of stories.